Pranam. I, Adarsh Kumar Behra, Civil Judge on Probation,
I, Sambedna Sandeep, Civil Judge on Probation,
heartily welcome you all to the valedictory ceremony of the 47 newly recruited civil judges of 2019 batch.
a dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. So now I humbly request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the Honorable Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and Patron-in-Chief, Odisha Judicial Academy and Training Committee to kindly adorn the dais. And I request esteemed Director, Odisha Judicial Academy, Shri Gauri Sankar Satpathy to kindly conduct Sir to the dais.
May I now request Honorable Sri Justice Biswajit Mahanti, Judge, High Court of Orissa and Chairman Odisha Judicial Academy and Training Committee to kindly adorn the dais, and I request Sri Akhil Kumar Paschim Kabat, Register Vigilance, to kindly conduct my lord to the dais.
May I now request Honorable Dr. Justice Sanjeev Kumar Panigrahi, Judge, High Court of Orissa and member of Odisha Judicial Academy Training Committee to kindly adorn the dais, and I request Srimati Banali Tripathi, Deputy Director, Odisha Judicial Academy to kindly conduct my lord to the dais.
May I now request Honorable Sri Justice Sasikant Mishra, Judge, High Court of Odisha and member Odisha Judicial Academy and Training Committee to kindly adorn the dais, and I request Sri Manas Ranjan Padhan, Assistant Director, Odisha Judicial Academy to kindly conduct my lord to the dais.
May I now seek the kind permission of the Honorable Chair to declare the function open. Now the function is declared open.
May I now request Ms. Sarmista Padhi, Civil Judge on Probation, to present flower bouquet to Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the Honorable Chief Justice.
May I now request Shri Bikas Kiran Mishra, Civil Judge on Probation, to present flower bouquet to Honorable Shri Justice Biswajit Mahanti.
May I now request Sri Deban Satyadarshi Nanda, Civil Judge on Probation, to present flower bouquet to Honorable Dr. Justice Sanjeev Kumar Panigrahi.
May I now request Ms. Devjaya Rath, Civil Judge on Probation, to present flower bouquet to Shri Justice Sashikant Mishra, Judge, High Court of Orissa, member, Odisha Judicial Academy.
Light is knowledge. We are enlightened only through knowledge. To mark the beginning of this ceremony, may I kindly request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar and all the esteemed dignitaries on the dais
To convey our respect for our motherland and to bask in her glory in this beautiful evening, may I now humbly request all the esteemed dignitaries, respected guests, and the 47 civil judges to kindly stand for the recital of our state song, Bande Utkal Janani.
Now, may I humbly request Honorable Sri Justice Biswajit Mohanty to kindly present the welcome address. My Lord, please.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. Justice S. Muralidharan, our Chief Justice and Patron-in-Chief of Odisha Judicial Academy, my esteemed brothers and sister on the dais and off the dais, respected former judges and learned resource persons, distinguished guests in the audience, officers of the registry, judicial officers and their esteemed parents and guardians, members of print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to today's valedictory ceremony for civil judges belonging to the batch of 2019. I congratulate all of them. It is indeed a special day, and what makes the day even more special is that we have in our midst the parents and guardians of the judicial officers for whom this event has been organized. We are able to see the happiness evident on their faces, and I must say that today we share your joy and pride. The essence of a valedictory event is to say farewell. But I think that while the time of all of you trainee officers in the academy may have come to an end, you are now on the anvil of stepping into the realm of action. Your life as judges is all set to begin. So today is also in a sense about welcoming you into the fraternity. Since you are the newest members of this family, and I am one of the oldest, I strongly feel it is my duty that as I welcome you, to do a bit of thought sharing that might help you to make your beginning well. As a senior who is anxious for the well-being of freshers, I humbly take the liberty to quickly tell you a few things. I do not intend to say things about your day-to-day duties as judicial officers or what you must do, that is to pass judgments, or how you must address the issue of delay, etc., etc. I am sure you have been told about all these things in the academy, and these are the skills you will always pick up along the way. I simply wish to share with you a few things which I believe do not form part of a lot of our discussions and training. Yet they contribute to our existence as judges and judicial officers. I believe that these are the things which go beyond the regular and the apparent form, what may be considered as behind the scene scenario for every judge. I'll begin with motivations. I think motivations are important because they truly connect you with what you do. Sometimes what motivates you becomes the reason that decides how different or better you are from others in doing your work. I do not know what your motivations were behind choosing this service. If your motivations behind choosing to become a judge were the security of government service, the salary, the perks and the status, then you have to go beyond these motivations in order to be truly worthy of your chair. There has to be something larger which you must be able to look at and strive for while you go about doing your day-to-day work as a judge. Always remind yourselves why the society needs you as a judge. What will the common man lose if you were not to be there in the court? The answers hopefully will keep you true to your work till the end. Let that be your constant motivation. This is a job which is going to test you continuously, sometimes even without you realizing that you are being tested, and it would expect great deal of perseverance from you without offering in return the publicity and fame which many other professions may provide. Remember, as legal battles will unfold in your courtrooms, many battles will parallelly take place in your mind. Many dilemmas of decision making will visit you. Keep your mind untainted, healthy and sound. Nourish your mind with positivity and knowledge and openness. Ultimately, it will help you in judging better. You should never forget that this is a service where restraint is a virtue. Practice restraint religiously. Please do not think that this is some kind of curtailment. It is a willful act so that the sanctity of what you do remains intact. The connection between both can only be experienced with time. Your aim should always be to safeguard the honor of the chair you sit on. Learn to love it over competing pleasures. Remember that courage to do what is right regardless of popular opinion is non-negotiable in your work. Judges have to strictly uphold the law even if there is mass opinion that something else should be done. You have to decide with reason, without passion and temptations and influences of opinions circling around you in the society. Master the art of letting your written words speak on your behalf. Let your performance be your voice. The privileges that will be provided to you are not available to everyone, including even the best of the service holders. When I say privileges, I certainly do not mean those which may give you physical pleasures normally dependent upon material gains such as money, house, car, popular notion of prestige, etc. By privilege, I mean the ability to make a difference in the life of people who come to your court extending their hands for justice. You will be clothed with power to deprive people of their lives, their liberty, their property, and even sometimes from their loved ones. You should always therefore balance this privilege with hard work and honesty. If a man accepts your verdict, he should never ever feel that you have decided his fate being guided by anything other than the law. As judges, you will find that reading and research would form an integral part of your lives. Reading and more reading, constant reading, wide and varied reading. You cannot afford to miss legal information. You cannot afford to miss developments around you, ideas forming around you. Be open to all kinds of information and knowledge from all corners. But guard yourself from prejudice that information and news sometimes may tend to plant inside you. When you sit in your court, try to see through the arguments and the pleadings placed before you, because ultimately at the root of all this is someone's plea for justice. Have compassion, be practical, do not stop being a human being when you function as a judge, but never forget your boundaries of functioning, which are to be strictly within the established principles of law. That is the collateral duty tied to your powers as a judge. In the years to come, you will realize how intellectually stimulating this profession can prove. There is perhaps no other avenue as engaging as being a judge. In what other profession does one plunge so deep into the stream of life, so share in its passions, its battles, its despair, and its triumphs? So try to cherish this experience while you toil. As the arbiters of disputes, every effort you make will help deep impact on the life of fellow human beings. Your actions will promote equity, fairness, peace in the mankind. Therefore, what you are about to do is no ordinary work. I know you are all young And to be honest, a part of me feels for all of you that at such young age you will shoulder great responsibilities. Do not be disheartened by the rigors of this job and the distances it will take you from what you have so far felt close to, such as your friends, your family, your birthplace, your city of childhood and youth. Rather be proud that you are one of the very few in the society who have been chosen for this onerous task. We believe that you are a generation of new ideas and talent which has the potential of bringing about positive changes in the system and make the institution soar to greater heights and make us all proud. Tonight we have come together to celebrate the conclusion of one phase of your journey and heartily embrace the beginning of the next. And to this celebration, once again, I on behalf of everyone in the High Court of Orissa heartily welcome all distinguished guests and I wish you all a pleasant evening. Thanking you all. Namaskar.
Thank you, my lord, for your kind words of appreciation. Now I request all the civil judges on probation to assemble on dais to take oath. Now may I request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the Honorable Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, to kindly administer oath to the 47 trainee civil judges present with us today.
I do swear in the name of God that I shall make every endeavor to ensure dispensation of justice without fear or favor, and that I shall maintain absolute integrity, honesty and sincerity, that I shall hear patiently, consider diligently, and decide justly, and I shall remain true to the oath in discharging my duties and obligations as a judicial officer.
Thank you, sir, for your generous gestures. I request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar to kindly present certificates, badges, and mementos to the following trainee judges on the successful completion of their one-year training.
And I request all the civil judges to kindly go to their respective seats.
Now, may I request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar to kindly present certificates, badges, and mementos to the following 10 trainee judges on the successful completion of their 1-year training. Now, I request Ms. Irsita Kesarwani to come onto the stage. Ms. Sambedana Sandeep. Ms. Krishna Mishra.
Miss Priyanka Priyadarshini Patel. Mr. Shubhajit Behra. Mr. Adarsh Kumar Behra. Mr. Deban Satyadarshi Nanda. Mr. Abhinandan Rai.
Ms. Sweta Das. Ms. Sarmista Padi.
Miss Lakshmi Priya Swai. Mr. Rajesh Kumar Das. Mr. Chandan Dehuri. Miss Malika Goenka. Miss Subhalakshmi Patnaik. Miss Debamalini Aishwarya. Miss Manashwini Mahapatra. Mr. Abhishek Pothal. Miss Sushri Sai Priya Tripathi. Miss Krishna Subudhi. Miss Madhushmita Naik. Miss Jaya Rai. Mr. Sandeep Kumar Mohanty. Miss Gargi Rai,
Miss Shreya Satpathy, Mr. Pritish Kumar Samal, Miss Susmita Priyadarshini, Mr. Brajesh Misra, Miss Debjaya Ratha, Mr. Bikas Kiran Misra, Miss Soyan Siktapati, Miss Bhagyasri Pati, Miss Sandhya Sucharita,
Mr. Rakesh Behra, Miss Sabitri Das, Mr. Girish Chandra Mudali, Miss Mona Lisa Pradhan, Mr. Debendranath Bagh, Mr. Shubodh Kumar Shetty, Mr. Girija Shankar Bagh,
Thank you, sir. Now, may I humbly request Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the Honorable Chief Justice, High Court of Odisha, to kindly deliver the valedictory address. Sir, please.
A very warm good evening to everyone present. Pranam, Vande Utkala Janani. Honorable Justice Vishwajit Mohanty, Justice Sanjeev Panigrahi, Justice Sashikanta Mishra, my esteemed colleagues present in the audience, the Registrar General, the Registrars, Administration, Judicial, Vigilance, Inspection, Examination, and all the other officers of the registry present here. The young judicial officers, the 47 successful judicial officers who have strengthened their arms today, their proud parents, relatives, friends who are present here, and everyone else to watch this wonderful occasion where we are inducting young judicial officers into the Odisha Judicial Service. It is indeed a very happy moment for all of us in the High Court to welcome such young, bright minds into our midst. And what gives us added pleasure is in this batch of 47 officers, 30 are female officers, and so a big hand for that. In fact, women are making themselves, their presence felt increasingly in our judiciary, and we have a sizable percentage of women officers in the Odisha judiciary today. Apart from the 47 who've joined the Odisha Judicial Service, the OJS, we have today a working strength of 314 officers, of which 129 are male and 185 female. Of the working strength of 243 senior civil judges, 129 are male, 114 are female. Of the Odisha Superior Judicial Service, of a working strength of 213, 169 are male and 44 are female. I wouldn't be surprised in 5 years' time, and I was saying this to some of my colleagues, we may land up in a situation where we may have to have reservation for men in the judiciary. This is also reflecting what is happening generally in all services. I try to make it lighter for you, but you are entering into a service, a life of public service. That's first and foremost that you have to bear in mind. And I want to draw a distinction between public service and government service. You are not government servants, you're not in a government service. I think you should bear this distinction in mind. Government is one of the major litigators in the courts. So as judges, we must be acutely aware of this. There is a difference between being a government servant and a public servant. You are definitely a public servant. You are in public service. And it is in that spirit that you're expected to serve. You have no master to serve. You have only truth as your master. You have your conscience as your master. And you have justice as your goal. So please remember that very, very clearly in your mind. When we talk of delivering justice, the first thing that must come to any judge's mind is the promise that we hold out to the people of our country in the preamble of fair and equal justice. The preamble talks of economic justice, it talks of social justice, it talks of political justice, it talks of justice in every sense, the wholesome sense. And as law persons, we know that when we talk of justice, two traits come straight away to our minds, which is fairness and impartiality. I know you've heard this very often in the Judicial Academy lecture. Socrates, this is 4th century BC. He says there are 4 qualities required in a judge: to hear courteously, to answer wisely, to consider soberly, and to decide impartially. Impartiality is almost like a given. It's like you can't drive a car without a license. You can't be a judge without this quality of impartiality. What should be your guide in conducting yourself? That's one of the first questions that comes to mind, doesn't it? And in my personal experience, I've always found it useful to go back to the Constitution of India every time I have a doubt in my mind. It speaks of the constitutional values of fraternity, liberty, equality, dignity, And that should be your guiding spirit. I think it is very important to imbibe constitutional values. It's not an easy task. We do not practice equality in our daily lives as we like to think we do. Being a good judge is being able to develop an instinct for recognizing injustice. And injustice can happen at any time, anywhere, in your midst. If you learn to live comfortably with injustice, then you lose an essential trait of being a good judge. If you're uncomfortable with any practice of injustice in your midst, it's a very good sign. You must be uncomfortable about discrimination. You must be uncomfortable about disrespect for dignity. You must be uncomfortable about inequality being practiced, whether in your official sphere or in your personal sphere. You can't live the life of a judge without practicing these constitutional values at a very personal level. You can't be ill-treating your wife at home and be dispensing justice to women who come to your court seeking justice. This is the most difficult task of a judge, that you have to maintain your balance at all times. There will be moments of being subjected to great pressures, and these are emotional pressures, mental pressures, sometimes physically taxing moments. But you'll have to learn to maintain your balance through all those trying moments to be able to deliver justice fairly and impartially. One has to be acutely aware that in our country, and particularly in Odisha, a majority of people coming to the courts, and particularly over the courts that you will be presiding, are people who belong to the underprivileged sections of the society. So you will need to be, irrespective of your own upbringing, your own cultural values, your own understanding of what life is, what an ideal life is, irrespective of that, for you to be aware of the lives of the people who come to your court. They come to the court in various capacities. They come as victims of crime, they come as witnesses to crime, they come as people suspected of committing the crime, they come as officials, they come as policemen. You will have to be connected with the society in which you serve as a judge. That society could be a tribal society in Malkangiri. It could be a cosmopolitan society like in Bhubaneswar. It could be a fisher folk in Puri. It could be various walks of life, various strata of people. But a majority of them in our courts are those belonging to the underprivileged sections. And most importantly, we are dealing with imperfect lives. We are dealing with failed lives. We are dealing with frustrated lives. So as a judge, you don't come across ideal situations. You come across naughty societal problems. People hating each other, people distrusting each other, people disbelieving each other. And you're here to solve some of those issues. So unless you maintain an internal calm, an internal peace, and you have to maintain that throughout your session in the court, which could be, let's say, in your case, maybe 11 to 5. How do you do that? You do that by strengthening your resolve from within, right? So you will have to prepare yourself both physically as well as mentally. Physically, of course, it's very important to have a daily routine which follows a pattern. And the young people that you are, and some of them are so young, you will have to have regular hours of sleep, regular hours of waking up, because you're going to be told that if you're not punctual, if you're not on your seat at the time when the court begins, you send a wrong message to the litigating public, you send a wrong message to the lawyers. Being punctual there's no compromise on that. You have to be punctual in court. there is a lot of expectation of the courts. What you are as a judge is reflected in how you conduct your court proceedings. And it was very nicely said, and I'd just like to quote one of the authors on this, Simon Rifkind. He says the courtroom sooner or later becomes the image of the judge. It will rise or fall to the level of the judge who presides over it. No one can doubt that to sit in the presence of a truly great judge is one of the great and moving experiences of a lifetime. So how you conduct yourself, and that court is in your command. It's in your control. How you conduct the proceedings, how you control the proceedings, depends entirely on you. How do you treat people who come to your court? This is again very important. Do you treat them with courtesy, with dignity? Do you respect them as human beings? They could be suspects. They're not accused yet. A person suspected of committing a horrendous crime, in your eyes, is still a suspect. He's not yet an accused. He's not yet a convict. A person who has come to depose in your court is a person who has come to help the system. That person could be a child, it could be a very vulnerable person. How do you treat them with dignity? How do you treat them with respect? Or do you keep them waiting? Even in your personal spheres, you will find that because of the power that you wield, you'll find a lot of people being very deferential to you. Don't mistake the deference that they show to you as to you personally. It's the deference that they're showing to the office. When someone enters the court and bows, they're bowing to the chair. They're bowing to the seat of justice. They're not bowing to the individual. How you conduct yourself in that seat, in that chair is so important, therefore, that you maintain and preserve the dignity of that chair. If you lose your calm and composure, if you misbehave on the chair, then the whole atmosphere gets vitiated. Very often you will be the person calming down things in the court. You must always be in a position where you calm down the chaos in the court. You're bound to find instances like that in your life as a judge. Follow a certain kind of discipline, and I'm going to say something which you may not like to hear. Try and get off social media. Today, much of the information that is flowing to you is through apps, whether it's WhatsApp or this chat or that chat. We need to keep our sources of information other than social media. I know it's very exciting to find something on Twitter, to find something on WhatsApp, to find something on Facebook, to go on looking at Facebook to see who's saying what, and whether what I've posted in Facebook has been liked by someone, what I've tweeted has been liked by someone, is someone following me. These are all the social media traits that we've developed as young persons. But this will not help you grow as a judge at all. It might help you relax in your moments when you want to just have an aside. But your sources of knowledge must be something far greater, far deeper. It can only be, as Justice Monty says, reading and more reading, and reading from a wide variety of sources, but sources that are authorities in that respective fields. Like reading a newspaper. I don't think there's an option not to read the newspaper. Stop reading news on the mobile phone. It's happened to our generation of people also. I can tell you, it's very harmful. If I start watching only cricket news, my mobile phone will give me more and more of cricket news. You must have noticed it, right? There are algorithms that detect what your choices are. In fact, the way news is constructed on the internet is that you are asked to choose which kind of things which you like to see and in which order. Each one has their own order. Somebody says, I'd like to read the sports page first. Somebody says, no, I like to see the entertainment page first. Somebody says, no, I like to read the headlines first. As a judge, you must always want to read the editorials of any newspaper, whether it's an Odia paper or an English paper. You must always be prepared and must want to read the op-eds, the op-ed articles. It could be by an economist, it could be by a sociologist, it could be by a filmmaker, it could be by a psephologist. You must, or an archaeologist, a historian. You must want to read that op-ed article. If it is something that you're not familiar with, the more you should indulge reading in it. Why? Because more of reading helps you with the language, because you're going to read and write a lot as a judge. You will find in the initial years the struggle to find the right kind of words, the right kind of phrases, the right kind of sentences. There cannot be good reading without good writing without good reading. And reading has to be deep reading. You must have heard a lot about my penchant for digitization. I see it as a tool. I don't see it as the main source of all knowledge. It cannot be. It's just an instrument, it's a tool. It helps you to reach where you want to reach. But when we want to read, you'll have to do deep reading. As a judge, only then you learn to analyze, only then you learn to reason. One of the tough tasks, and this happens to us throughout our judicial life, even today, there are judgments which I write, which I know are well reasoned, but I'm also deeply conscious of those judgments which I write, which are not as well reasoned as they should be for a variety of reasons. And as a judge, be prepared that you will be making mistakes, but learn from those mistakes. Don't repeat the mistakes. It is okay to make mistakes, but it is not okay to repeat those mistakes. Fortunately, as judges and in our judicial hierarchy, we have a system of correction. You have a system of appeals. You have a system of revisions. So your mistakes can get corrected. These are mistakes of fact. These are mistakes of law. And as you go along, you sharpen your skills on these basic elements of judging. And therefore, the more you read, the better you will get at this. And the more complex it is, the better it is. So let us say that you are in a civil court dealing with civil suits, and you're going to be dealing with that, let's say, for a year. You may not want to be very interested in what's happening in the Supreme Court, judgments of the Supreme Court, judgments of the High Court. It should become as automatic as brushing your teeth or drinking your tea or having a bath or going to sleep. It's like you live the life of law. I know this will alienate you from your immediate surroundings, but that is the price one has to pay for being a judge. But as Justice Manti says, it's very rewarding at the end of the day. It's rewarding because you've got into people's lives, you know the intimate details of people's lives, of where they can fail or where they can succeed, and you are, through your work, trying to better the lives of people. Again, you will not be bettering the lives of all people. There will always be somebody, and this you must be acutely aware of, there will be always somebody who walks away from your court disappointed. Disappointed because there is an adjournment, disappointed because you've not examined them although they've come as a witness, disappointed that you've not taken up their bail application for hearing, or that bail applications got postponed because that is a person who's an accused and who's sitting in jail waiting for freedom. So there are many people who walk into your court who are going to go away disappointed. Try to take it in your stride, but be deeply aware and deeply conscious of it. You cannot please everybody, and that is not what we are here for as judges. But we must leave people with the impression that we are serious about our job. We take it serious. Whatever their problem they're bringing to the court, we take that seriously. For us, no case is a trivial case. Every case is a serious case. And we deal with it in all seriousness that it deserves. I think I've said most of what I want to say, but one very important thing, we always keep talking of independence of the judiciary. Independence from influences around us. But one of the first big threats to independence is you. It is your own mind. The deeply held prejudices is something that you will have to eradicate from within you as a judge. You may have certain impressions about people of a certain community, of a certain caste, of a certain class. If you allow that to interfere with your judging, then you'll be failing in a very, very deep way. It may not be visible to people outside because it's something that is working in your mind. I may be a staunch vegetarian, I may dealing a butcher's case where he's killing a lot of animals on a daily basis. And if I form an impression about him on the basis of my own vegetarianism, then I'm not fit to be a judge. I may have a very strong view of gay persons. I may say, no, this is very unnatural, this is something that I will not accept. But that has no place in your judging. Societal morality, public morality, personal morality, they were all to be subsumed in constitutional morality. The Constitution respects every person's right to live a full life. This is why we need to be in tune with the changing dimensions of the law. What the Supreme Court is saying, what the world is saying. We have to open up our minds. We have to get rid of our prejudices. So our own prejudices are our biggest barriers to functioning independently. Once you keep fighting those prejudices, and only you can recognize those prejudices. There is someone who's in the witness stand. There's something that the person is doing in the witness stands that is irritating you, that you do not approve of. But that is not relevant. If it is impairing the proceedings, yes, you must react to it. If it is affecting the solemnity of the proceedings, the sobriety of the proceedings, yes, you must correct it. But it should not develop a prejudice in your mind. How you therefore respond to situations will depend on how well you fought your own prejudices. And being independent of your own prejudices is what true independence of a judge is. In your personal life, you will witness certain changes. And we are all acutely aware, as being judges, that we all live in what we call a glass bubble. There will always be 2 or 3 persons, or maybe 4 or maybe 5, who will know exactly what you're doing at any point in the day. There are no secrets that way. So don't think that if you do something which others are not watching, that it does not get noticed. We perform in the public sphere, we hold our hearings in the open, but even when we are in our chambers, even when we are in our homes, since we always have people helping, people working for us, and who will talk about what we did that day. Madam ate this for breakfast, Madam ate that for dinner, Madam said this to her son, Saab said this to his wife. The person working for you may go and tell her husband, Saab said this to his wife today. You can't stop that, right? It's part of your natural way of being. So be aware of it. Be aware that your privacy is impaired to a certain extent, and you'll have to therefore conduct yourself in a way that respects the dignity of the office and does not make anyone doubt of your abilities and capability as a judge. And this is a personal task. If you ask me which is the perfect way to be as a judge, it's not easy to delineate all of that. But there is a wonderful article by Justice Ravindran, How to be a Good Judge. I would request Dr. Gauri Shankar to circulate it, unless you've already circulated it to all of them. So do circulate it to each of these 47 judicial officers. It's an excellent piece on how to conduct oneself in difficult positions, like recusing from hearing a matter, right? What are the moments in which you will recuse? And there are some judges who just recuse at a drop of hat, which is also again not good, which means you're trying to avoid deciding a case. You must recuse for valid reasons, and you must be able to say why you're recusing, which is very important. I think I've said most of what I wanted to say. And this, I think I'll be repeating what Justice Manti has said. One is to be an eternal student, because that source of learning can come anytime, anywhere, from anyone. So it could be a senior lawyer, it could be a lawyer with few years of experience who's arguing before you. But that lawyer could help you read the statute in a way that you'd not thought of before. So be always having an open mind. Don't prejudge an issue. Don't have preconceived notions. Be prepared to learn and be prepared to be informed. As a judicial officer, I've said this to other judicial officers too. you're occupying a seat, maybe for the first time if it's a new court, but invariably as young judicial officers, you'll be occupying a seat that's been occupied by someone before. Just remember this, when you leave that seat to go on to the next seat, make that seat a better seat than it was when it was before. Leave something better. You know, I don't know if you've seen the Japanese in the metro stations, and you must have seen videos of that. By the time the train comes in, halts, and again leaves for its next return journey, there's a whole set of people who get into the train and quickly clean it up. They want the next journey for the next set of passengers to be a pleasant one, in a good environment. If you have to draw an analogy, you must have the seat being a better performing seat than it was earlier. Set the benchmark higher. Set for yourself very high benchmarks. Pick up around you. You'll find lots of imperfect judicial officers around you, but you'll also find inspiring, perfect judicial officers. May not always be perfect in all spheres. Perfect in one, maybe not as perfect in the other. Try and pick up the best examples. Try and pick up the best practices. See how much of that you can adapt in your own judicial life. And one very simple rule that I ask everyone to follow, because we are talking of pendency and arrears, you will always have an inflow of cases and you have an outflow of cases. Make sure the number of cases that get disposed of is above the number of cases that get instituted. It could be on a daily basis, it could be on a weekly basis, it could be on a monthly basis. But at the end of that month, the number of cases you've disposed of must be more than the number of cases instituted in your court. If you can follow that simple benchmark, it will help the judiciary overall in a very big way. But I want to thank each one of you for joining the Odisha judiciary, for strengthening our hands, for climbing those difficult staircases to bring you to the mezzanine floor. You started at the ground floor, you've come to the mezzanine floor. You've entered a building in which there are, of course, lifts and staircases. But if I were you, I would prefer the staircase to the lift. Go forward with your head held high. You've made us proud. You've made your parents, your friends, your relatives proud. And wishing you all the very best in your judicial life. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and advices. Now, I humbly request Honorable Shri Justice Biswajit Mahanti to present the memento to Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar as a token of gratitude.
Now, may I request Honorable Sri Justice Sasikanta Mishra, Judge, High Court of Odisha, to kindly give the vote of thanks. My Lord, please.
Namaskar and very good evening to all. Esteemed dignitaries on and off the dais, invitees, guests, ladies and gentlemen. At the very beginning, Honorable Justice Biswajit Mahanti welcomed you to the family. This is the judicial family. Now, when we talk of judicial family, I'm told we are now, our sanctioned strength is now touching 1,000. It's an ever-growing family. 977 sanctioned posts to be exact, I was told today. Now, this is a large family, and as I said, it's an ever-growing family. And when we talk of a family, we cannot but refer to the head of the family. Now, who's our head of the family? The head of the family is, of course, Honorable the Chief Justice. So, who better a person than to administer the oath to the newly inducted judicial officers? And just now, we have all of us, not only just the newly inducted officers, but all of us, we were hearing Dr. Justice S. Muralidhar, the insightful address that he made, laced with humor and heavy with wisdom. And I'm sure if you follow even 10% of what he has said, you'll definitely achieve a lot of success. So first and foremost, I extend sincere gratitude to my Lord, Honorable the Chief Justice, for administering the oath and for addressing you. I also thank Honorable Sri Justice Biswajit Mahanti, Judge Odisha High Court and the Chairman of the Odisha Judicial Academy and Training Committee, for his invaluable guidance in arranging this program, as also in giving a wonderful speech, which is, I think, helpful not only for the officers but also for us. He's harped upon many very, very important aspects that you will, as you go along, you will realize the importance of whatever he has said. So thank you, my Lord. I also thank Brother Dr. Justice Sanjeev Panigrahi, and of course, Justice V. Narsingh, who is not present because of some unavoidable circumstance. As members of the committee, they have offered invaluable inputs as to how to make this program a success, what is to be added, what is not to be added, what is to be left out. All these tidbits have been taken care of. So I thank the honorable members of the committee. I thank honorable judges of the High Court who are present here. Your presence has added sanctity to the function and will definitely serve as an encouragement to all present here, particularly the newly inducted judges. I thank Honorable Sri Justice A.S. Naidu, former judge of the court and a constant teacher of all of us. And I'm sure my Lord would have taken quite a lot of classes of the newly inducted judges also. Thank you, my Lord, for your kind presence. I thank the Registrar General and the officers of the registry, the Member Secretary of the State Legal Services Authority, the Director of Odisha Judicial Academy, all of whom have worked together tirelessly to make this program a huge success. I especially thank the proud parents of the 47 civil judges. I know, seeing your wards today, your hearts must be filled with pride and blessings also. They need your blessings as they go out on a new journey. I thank you for your presence. Your presence itself is a blessing for them. And I'm a old school person who firmly believes that without the blessings of parents, no one can succeed in life. And now coming to the judges themselves. Well, having been a judicial officer myself, I cannot restrain myself from sharing a little bit of thought, sharing some thoughts at least. And for that, I think I have the permission of Honorable the Chief Justice. Just 1 or 2, 3 points. I don't think it will be akin to adding a few drops only to the ocean of wisdom that Honorable the Chief Justice represents, as also Honorable the Chairman. Now, I'll just harp upon 3 points. Very briefly, I'll tell you, which I have learned as a judicial officer. As you, Honorable Justice Mahanti said about 2 journeys. One journey, there's a culmination of a journey and beginning of a new journey. So you can say it, you can put it like this. You have been told, you have heard, now you have to do. Whatever you have heard, whatever you have been told has to be done. This is where the challenge begins. For this, I usually tell myself, and of course my colleagues, that there's something called grammar of justice, which we judicial officers, judges, we need to keep in mind. Now, what is this grammar of justice? No, it's very simple, just a noun and a verb. Noun is a naming word, verb is a doing word. Now, so what is the noun part of it? Noun part of it is that you are civil judge. But are you really a civil judge? Simply by writing Mr. X, Y, Z, civil judge. That is the noun part. That has been done today. The doing part remains. That is the grammar that you must keep in mind. We all must keep in mind. And we must check ourselves now and then, every now and then. This is the first point that I want to tell you. Secondly, as Honorable the Chief Justice has very beautifully pointed out about the power. You see, it's a very strange thing, but this is the greatness of the Indian Constitution. A judicial magistrate of the second class can send a man to prison, but the President of India cannot. The Prime Minister cannot. So are we to suppose that you are more powerful than the President? Yes, you are being conferred with power. But you know, power has a twin brother called responsibility. Greater the power, greater the responsibility. I cannot add further to what Honorable the Chief Justice has said. Just this much would suffice. With power comes responsibility. And you have to be responsible. Remember what the Chief Justice said. You are public servants. We are public servants. We are not public masters. What does it mean by being public servant? Are we to fall at the feet of anybody who comes to the court? No. We are engaged in the service of the public. And how do we do that? By dispensing justice. And how do we dispense justice? Beginning with the grammar, beginning with whatever Honorable the Chief Justice said about, maintaining impartiality and all that. The third point, and which is the last point, is about the knowledge of law. Without a sound knowledge of law, of course, you can't become a judge. You can't dispense justice. You cannot write judgments. You need a sound knowledge of law. But it is necessary, but not sufficient. Knowledge of law is not sufficient. It is necessary. What is sufficient? What is the thing that is without which you cannot dispense justice? Is your innate sense of justice. Please mark my words. I believe you can now understand what Honorable the Chief Justice said when, as a judge, you are dealing with the case of a deprived or an oppressed woman in your court, but you are ill-treating your wife at home. It means you do not have an innate sense of justice. So to build that, to make it ingrained in you, you need experience. Yes, knowledge of law is required. Without knowledge of law, you cannot do that. But until and unless you develop that sense of justice within you, you cannot really dispense justice. So, how do we do that? By learning from others, keep your mind open. As you know, there's a proverb, human mind is like a parachute. It works only when it is open. Just imagine falling from 30,000 feet holding a parachute, but it is not opening. So human mind is like that. It's like a parachute. It will work only when you open it. If you start thinking that I scored 93% in such and such in civil law, so I'm a master of civil law. There you close the door. You close the door of your mind. Like I am also reminded of Socrates. The only thing that I know is that I do not know. And that is the only thing I know. So you keep your mind open. Learn from the seniors, learn from your peers, and even learn from your juniors. In Odia, there's a saying, Bodo ko pachari, sano ko bichari. Learn from others, no problem. So, I won't take much time again. I've digressed a bit from the job that was given to me. My best wishes to you as you embark upon a new journey. Do yourself and your parents proud. May God bless you. Your presence here, you are the center of attraction today. As you begin your journey, again, my best wishes and God bless you. And last but not least, I would like to thank the members of the print and electronic media for their constant support. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. Best wishes. God bless you. Jai Jagannath.
Thank you so much, sir, for your generous words. Valedictory is not the end, but the beginning of new endless stories. Now may I seek the permission of the Honorable Chair to declare the ceremony closed. Now the ceremony is declared closed.
Now, I humbly request the august gathering to kindly stand for the recital of the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे